Kristen Solomon here, court liaison advocate with Right Turn Impact. Today I'm in downtown Annapolis with Carolynn Grammas, candidate for Anne Arundel County State's Attorney. Carolynn has spent decades serving this community as a prosecutor, and today we're talking about accountability, treatment, public safety, and the future of Anne Arundel County. Let's go talk with her.
My name is Carolynn Grammas. I have been an assistant state's attorney in the state of Maryland for almost 25 years, most of that time in Anne Arundel County, but now I'm currently in St. Mary's County. What made me want to be a prosecutor was the murder of my best friend in college at a party that I was supposed to be at that I canceled at the last minute. That really cemented my decision to go to law school and to be a prosecutor. Working on auto manslaughter, so anyone who is killed in any type of alcohol, drug-related offenses with a vehicle or a boat has really shaped my view of addiction and treatment because I have to look at both kind of angles. Victims are always the foremost thing that I am looking at when I am dealing with a case in which someone has lost their life. However, I have to also deal with what is the best way to deal with the person that has committed this crime and how to keep it from happening again. And so I have to kind of balance those things in every case. And so it requires me to really do an in-depth look in how to best serve the victim as well as the defendant. So one of the cases that has really impacted not only my life, because I have to live this and walk through the victims with them through this process, was a crash that was really close to Christmas time. A mom and her two children were coming back from the mall after buying Christmas gifts when a drunk driver crossed over the center line and caused severe injuries to the children. They were both 9 and 11, I believe, and the mom. So the impact was great, very severe, and he pled guilty to causing life-threatening injuries to all three of them. Luckily, no one had died from that. Part of that process, they found forgiveness for that defendant, and that started us on a treatment path in trying to figure out how do we best serve the interests of the community. It did require a jail sentence, but then once he was released, we did a program and treatment and a review process. We have a judge here in Anne Arundel County that will set up monthly reviews as they go through their treatment to keep track of making sure that they are actually making positive steps, and that actually has been a success story, one that the family was very happy with, and I'm proud to say that he was able to change his life through treatment. Not every case do I have victims that want to have any forgiveness. They want just strict punishment. That takes a lot of talking with victims and understanding kind of how the process works, because in the judicial system, we're not only looking at just punishment, we are also looking at rehabilitation. And so to be able to talk to victims and kind of explain how that's going to be determined by the court, we have to have conversations that are tough about how we're going to look at rehabilitation. Because at some point, the sentence is going to be over. And as hard as it is for victims to understand that they still have lost their loved one, I still have to deal with the defendant and what's going to happen once they are released from any type of jail sentence. And so balancing that out takes a lot of conversations, a lot of knowledge of knowing what the treatment programs are going to be and how that's going to continue throughout the process of probation, and the importance of making sure that we're following up to make sure that this does not happen again. This crime can happen to anyone. It does not discriminate. It is not based on who's rich, who's poor, who's got education, who doesn't. It affects everyone. And so we've done great strides in education and Ubers and don't drive if you're going to drink anything. And so getting that message out at the beginning when someone does make a mistake and getting treatment and taking care of that really will save lives. So the success stories for treatment really do have an impact on prosecutors to say, well, I know that works. And it also can be, well, I've heard that story before, I'm in treatment. And so we have to guard against being jaded and not saying, oh, I just did a program, I did an online program. And so I think that as prosecutors, we have to guard against that kind of flippant attitude of, I did something. And we really have to look at what the program was, what it entailed, what their commitment was. Aftercare, follow-up, that is a very important part of treatment. And so I think we have to be cognizant at all times of the realities of what that treatment is for that person, because it's not one size fits all. We can't just say because I did a 28-day or a weekend that I'm fine. It really does involve collaboration between all of us, and it does require discussion between the state's attorneys, defense attorneys, and the judge as well. Now, that also involves, for me, as a prosecutor, and victims, they have rights. They get to know about this, and they should always be kept informed. So I was a public defender as a student lawyer, and I spent a semester learning how to represent someone who's accused of a crime. And I think that experience of talking with them, learning their stories, gathering evidence, and also advocating for them in the courtroom really shaped my career as to what justice requires. And that is a fair, and that the defense attorney and the defendant are reliant upon the state's attorney to turn evidence over. And so everything I've done in my career has been based on that, in making sure that I treat the defendant just as fairly as I treat the victim.
Right.
And so that really inspires me to do the right thing at all times, even when no one's looking, even when people are unrepresented. I still want to treat them the same way, because that's what justice requires. It's not about winning. It is about justice. You know, we are all a mistake away. I don't believe that, person standing with a conviction, standing with a DUI, it could be anybody. It takes 1 second to make that bad decision, and we're all could be stopped. Every one of us.
Yeah.
And so unless you're not drinking, that's the only way to stop it.
I learned that the hard way. I'm not a quitter.
Yeah. Fair.
And it took me multiple times to get it, because I truly thought I could master the art, that I could drink responsibly, which, in my opinion, is a phrase that's coined by the alcohol industry to make money.
To make money. Absolutely.
And it's all about greed and money when you boil it down.
It's interesting that you see that, most people wouldn't see that. Most people would not see, they're just like, you have the problem. You're the problem. Why can't you do it? And
well, they're all trying to master it.
Exactly.
They're all trying to
absolutely
figure it out and do it responsibly, do it correctly.
And then you're fine. In February, a woman was killed on President's Day at 12:30 in the afternoon, just finished lunch with her family. And an alcoholic had gone in to get a fifth of, I don't remember, vodka, and was just driving back home and crossed the center line and killed her. Oh. And it was his seventh. And, the lives that were devastated from that. And, he thought he had it under control. He thought that he had slept it off, was going to get more. It just devastates lives when you think you have it under control, and you don't. I wish it didn't happen. I wish I never had to meet people the way I do. I have to meet people in their worst moments and walk them through some of the hardest things. And that's just the victims. I haven't even dealt with the defendants, and they have stories sometimes that are, families and lives that are completely upended because of the choices they made. And there are real consequences.
For me personally, it was the worst time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you have ever been convicted of a DUI, that you can agree with that. Maybe we're all at different points in the spectrum, right? Or
Sure.
different points in our lives, but it gets our attention. It's hard not to be grateful for them once you get to the other side of it, because it's what got your attention.
But you're not at the beginning. You're definitely not.
You were trying to do everything. How did this happen? Why me? Everything
yes.
but taking
The
responsibility.
officer this, they didn't do this. Yeah.
But it's been my experience that you come back and you thank those officers, and
Yeah,
you thank
I've seen
everyone who's involved. Once you, I guess, accept responsibility for your partner.
Yeah. Well, I love to hear those types of stories, because it's going to stop them from hurting someone. That's one of the things I think for young people particularly, that taking keys, and then the decisions, why didn't I take the keys? Why didn't I stop? I didn't want them not to like me. I've heard that because I've dealt with many young people, and standing up and saying, no, don't drive. And that's hard. I don't remember.
Was that person.
Were you?
I would have
I'm fine.
Well, I would have I would have a plan
Oh.
to not do it,
But-
and then I would start drinking, and then I would go through you to get my keys. And so, and who's going to stop you? They're going to get in a confrontation. They're going to get in a physical fight with you. I mean,
Until something happens, and then they I wish I would have.
yeah,
And I've heard a lot of, I wish I would have.
I imagine so.
And then the what ifs. I always tell victims' families, I'm like, don't go down the what if rabbit hole, because it is a non-stop, just vicious cycle of what if I had done this? What if they had done that? And that's a hard game to play,
It is.
and you're never going to win on that. Never going to win on that.
Nobody wins in these kinds of cases.
Nobody.
Anyway.
Nope. I've never been in a courtroom and said, okay, we got a winner here. Nobody walks out feeling good. I have had where people have walked out, and I have mothers. I have the mother of the defendant and the mother of the victim walk out sobbing and hugging each other because they both have lost. Even though one has lost forever their child, the other has lost as they're getting let off to jail. And the bond that occurs in those moments, that you see the real reality of what this has done to not just the victim themselves, but it just kind of like throwing a pebble into a pond and there are ripples. It doesn't just affect the person, it continues on for all of the things that are lost. I'd love to have people come in and watch a closing, a sentencing that I do, because I lay it out because I want you to see the reality of what crushed cars, what mangled bodies. Now, I'm not doing it for the kind of sideshow, and I'm not going to show a victim, but I want you to see the reality.
Mm-hmm.
And until you've seen, now with body worns, until you've seen somebody dying on a body worn or listening to someone die on a 911 call, that changes you. And, it's hard to hear. It's hard to watch, but I've seen it over and over and over. And I hope that I have made a difference so far, and that I will continue to make a difference in not having more. Maryland's been working towards 0 deaths, and, it seems like, how are you ever going to do that? But if we don't try, then we just kind of keep doing the same things. And so I think working towards that goal is, what I look through, that lens I look through police, and just trying to make sure we can reduce, if not eradicate, drunk driving. It's a lofty goal. But
There's a lot of committed people working on it.
there are. And I've been committed for a long time working with traffic safety in Maryland. And it doesn't even just happen in cars. The last trial I did was a boat crash where a drunk operator of a vessel killed a police officer's mother. And, that people on the waterway, that's even, everybody drinks on the water. I hear that all the time. Well, everybody's drinking. Why? You are operating a vessel, which is just the same as a vehicle. You could be just as drunk
Especially in this area.
Absolutely. And so, we've got the Blue Angels next week. And how many people are out there drinking and then in the sun, and then they're operating their vessel home? The same principles apply on the water as they do on the car, but so many people don't realize that. And that's a whole nother issue that I'm very passionate about, that changing the narrative on that no, not everybody is drinking and operating a vessel.
A lot of the people I know who are really passionate about this are the people who were drinking. That's how, another way to become passionate about this kind of work.
It's interesting you say that, because I never thought of that. Because I say what makes advocates for particularly negligent manslaughter, which is vehicular manslaughter, is they've lost someone. They all of a sudden become an advocate, but I never thought of it, that somebody
people who kill someone, that's a life sentence that they also have to live with.
Absolutely.
And oftentimes they're thinking, how can I right my wrong here?
Absolutely.
And they can be some of the biggest fighters for the goal.
But to hear you say it, it really kind of resonated with me, because we all are advocating for things all the time. And what becomes that thing you are passionate about depends on what your experiences are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, as I've matured and aged, you really start to realize how people are so, we're all so similar. And the differences that we all have are not that big, and that we're all just kind of trying to get through life and make an impact. And what that looks like is a little different for each person, but we can all make the world a better place by what we have to offer, and being open to hearing what other people, what their experiences are, and we can learn so much from each other. So that's really something I truly believe in.
I've learned a lot from you today.
I've learned a lot from you. I really enjoyed this.
Me too.
I wasn't sure why I was doing this, and I am running for office, but people are so much more important to me, and that's one of the things I've learned throughout this campaign process. I'm not a politician, but I am passionate about people, and I think my entire career has really shown that, and I think that's kind of why I am where I am today, and why I made the decision, because I do believe in people. Whether you're a victim of crime, whether you are a defendant, whether you're an officer, whether you're a probation, it doesn't really matter. I know the cleaning people at the courthouse as much as I know the judges, because I learned so much from listening to people.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite things.
I think we all impact each other.
We do. We just don't realize it.
For the good, the
Yes!
bad, the positive, the negative.
Yes.
But how that all comes into play.
It does.
And I think shape who we are.
I agree.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I've learned the most from my mistakes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you can't admit your mistakes, then it's a real problem.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to stand up and say, yeah, I made that mistake. And but when you do, the learning and what internally that does for you, for me at least, and not to do it again. When I talk about my friend who was murdered, my life kept going.
Right.
Hers stopped at 21, and mine kept going. And so, I think about her, and I think of, I was doing something last night, and as I was preparing, I was thinking back to, when I was 21, and how I didn't think I'd ever get through that. And I felt survivor's guilt because I was supposed to be at that party and I canceled. And it took me a long time to kind of work through that, and to hear what you just said. I want the best what's in life, and not the best outcome. It wasn't a great outcome. But what has flowed from that? My daughter's named after her. Her parents are like my second set of parents. And I don't wish that happened so that I had that connection with them. But it's been one of the biggest blessings of my life. And I never would have thought that. So.
And it's changed. It's your career.
It is my career.
It's that's
how
you started our conversation today.
And I never share. I didn't share that until recently, only because I don't want to talk to a victim and say, "Oh, here's my story,"
right?
Because this is their story. But it gave me that empathy, and to be able to hear them and know and kind of take what I've learned from that. So,
wow.
Yeah,
that's
my story. I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. I don't know. And so if the election doesn't work out, it's good. I'm in St. Mary's County, and I said, I don't know. I don't know if it's a advocate type of position I want to be, but I have a wealth of information.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm excited for you either way.
Either way, I've won already.
Oh, I love that.
I've won already. So that is.
I just got chills when you said that.
That's how I feel. I've won already. I really do feel that way. So thank you.
That
I'm so glad
strums my heartstrings, and What a great perspective to have.
It is.
It's like, it's the best perspective you possibly have in this life, right?
It is. It's
I mean,
it's all good.
like, you think this was my dream job? Like, no, if I didn't get
Isn't it
DUIs, I
funny
never
how-
would have.
Isn't it funny how that works? I mean, did I think I feel like, I talk, my friend's name was Catherine, and I think about that and I go, because I never really shared it, and now that I'm sharing it all over the place, and I'm like, I'm honoring her. I'm not using it.
Oh, absolutely not.
It is
an
something
honor.
that has been in me for so long, and I didn't used to be able to talk about it without getting choked up, but her legacy lives on.
I love that so much.
That's what it is.
That's the best way to honor someone.
It is. And so,
He's smiling down on you.
Yeah, thank you.